Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over how to get those huge ambush numbers, how to ambush really hard using Jam Gabar and the Berserking buff in Battlegrounds. Now, if you want alternatives to Jam Gabar, you want to see all the talents and everything, at the end of the video I'll go through all the talent trees that I used while trying to get more and more damage with ambush. I tried, many different trees, and also kind of some alternatives that you can use if your weapons aren't as good, if you don't have Jam Gabar, other trinkets you can use to amplify your damage. And then also stay tuned towards the end, because the final clip is going to be how to do a 5,000 damage ambush, because originally I started the challenge going for a 3k ambush. I surpassed that pretty quickly, and I thought, okay, maybe we can do 4k, and then finally I went for 5k. So without further ado, let's get right into the clips. All right, so I'm going to be going through some of the clips here, explaining, I guess, how you can pull it off yourself, what's going on, why I'm doing certain amounts of damage. So you're going to see I generally try and use Jam Gabar outside of line of sight where the alliance can't see me, then go in stealth, because Jam Gabar does break stealth if you use it while you are stealthed. Now I wait for the Jam Gabar to ramp up, and then I ambush. Now, this is an early iteration of the build. I did not have Cold Blood yet incorporated, so there's a chance I didn't crit. So a little awkward. That would have been 3,000, but this was actually my first attempt using the Berserking buff, using Jam Gabar. You're going to see I wait till Jam Gabar hits 10 and then I ambush. Really, I should be going right as it hits 10, or even Jam Gabar 9, so that the follow-up backstab does more. You saw me just testing on that mage. You can see I was hitting for like 2,700 against Clothies with their gear equipped. And then this was a big one. This was my first big ambush pretty early on. And this is why I was pushing for 4K, because I had the challenge of going for a 3K ambush. And as you can see, I hit a 3,700 pretty quickly. And that mage did have Fairy Fire on him. And that's why we did do so much damage. Here again, you're going to see me waiting too long on the Jam Gabar, but I was just trying not to get clipped by any magic that mage was sending out there. We're still able to do 3.1k though. His armor is the reason why. Fairy Fire was the reason why I did like 600 more damage the last time I had hit him. But you can see they're a huge backstab, and I think that clip really shows that if your ambush doesn't one-shot them, like, your backstab and your auto attacks are going to hit super hard, especially if you have Jam Gabar ramped up or strike going. And so even if, no matter what you end up going for, you're going to be doing insane amounts of damage, even if the target lives through your ambush. You can see a 2,900 ambush on a leather target with PvP gear, looks like rank 10 gear, which has decent armor on it. You can see this guy got clubbed. That's what I'm talking about. That was a warlock that had Devotion Aura. And even though he lived through the ambush, it only did 2,700 damage. We backstabbed him for 2,000. We were auto-attacking him for like 800 with our main hand. And you can do a huge amount of damage. Now, this was actually the record breaker. With that ambush, that was up to this point, the highest ambush I had gotten. And this guy didn't even have any armor reduction. He just was in bad gear. And I guess I just rolled high on my ambush damage. But yeah, that was a crazy ambush there. But you're going to start to see, as I'm ambushing, I'm going to kind of stagnate somewhere between 3 to 3.7k. So here was a 3,500, and there's not really, I can make small incremental increases into my damage, but you're going to see that I start to realize the only way I can really buff up the damage much more is by starting to remove armor. Now, that I just wanted to put that one in there. That was 2,600 damage with no Jam Gabar. Just to give you guys some context on how much damage Jam Gabar is adding. That guy did have a decent amount of armor, but with Jam Gabar, we would have seen likely at least a 3.1k, and you can see that adds quite a lot of damage. Now, I do want to go back to that one clip right there, just so you guys see. This was actually my record ambush at the time. It doesn't look like that much because the guy had a shield on, but that was actually 3,813. So that was my record ambush with Fairy Fire, 3813, pretty crazy. Here you're going to see I start implementing Shrink Ray. The idea behind the Shrink Ray is that if a shrink ray backfires, it actually can give you attack power instead of shrinking the target's attack power. So there's a good backfire. So I start implementing the shrink ray, trying to see if I can gain attack power. I believe it's 250 attack power, 200 or 250 if the shrink ray backfires. So I started trying to incorporate that to get as much damage as possible, knowing though it could backfire and I could end up losing attack power. So it's risky. But you can see here, this is the first time I got a nice exposed armor setup, and it can be kind of hard to do in Battlegrounds because there's all the fighting going on. But you can see I almost hit 4,000 on that setup, 3,998. Here we just get another Jam Gabar 10 ambush. You can see 3,400 damage on a Clothy with, full armor, no armor reductions. This one, that's on leather. We did 4,000 damage in the 1 second because our auto attack crit for 800. This is another exposed armor setup we were able to pull off. I don't know why this Warlock just let me, but hey, I appreciate it. That was nice of him. We did immediately get jumped right after, but he let us get the ambush off. We almost hit 4K on leather, which is pretty crazy. You can see, this is a good one. So here we've got a mage. I have the full setup going. I got, Berserking. I got Jam Gabar running. I even have Mark of the Wild on me. And I'm just doing the full setup, trying to build combo points, trying to set up an exposed armor. Now I go for a sap here, but I was just, the first sap broke a tiny bit too early, but thankfully he missed his Frost Nova. I was able to get the exposed armor and the vanish, and I was able to break 4,000 there. That was 4,056. That was the first 4K. Now here you're going to see me out in world PvP, testing it out in the open world, and you're going to see that if we remove the armor, we're actually able to hit 3,000 damage in world PvP, even without any berserking buff or anything. So even if you're not in the battleground, even if you're not getting that buff, you can still hit some insane ambushes out in the world. And out in world PvP, it's so much easier to get the exposed armor setups, so much less likely that someone's going to stumble upon you. You can see here, actually, unfortunately the sap broke, but I was able to get lucky, found him in stealth, and I was able to ambush him with Jam Gabar and everything. So that was a pretty crazy one. You can see here again, we got the full exposed armor, Jam Gabar 10, 3K damage. So there's a little bit of variance in each attack based on your weapon damage. The harder your weapon damage rolls, because there's a range on a weapon damage. You got low end and top end. That's where some of the variance comes from. Now this is the one I wish I could have back. This would have been a massive one, and I'm really sad that I did not press Vanish right now. If I pressed Vanish right now, this guy would have taken an insane amount of damage. With improved exposed armor, this is a bear that is set up to carry the flag, so he would have had some armor. But if I go back, you can actually see I got the backfire on the Shrink Ray that increased my size. This is the first and only time I actually got it in any usable context. But unfortunately, I got Fairy Fired from behind from a different target. And that's the one that got away right there, because that would have been, everything you're seeing, it would have been 250 more attack power. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Here you can see I got a pretty big ambush that's through a full shield, that we got the 2,900 ambush there. Here's another mage. I wasn't able to do any armor reduction setup on this guy, so this is with full armor. We're actually able to get a pretty big one. This is one of my bigger ones against full armor. You see, 2341 into full armor would actually end up being, like 3,200 health when you take away the barrier. So pretty crazy damage there. I think, we just go up on this rogue again, full leather, no armor reduction, and we're able to hit about 2,900, 2,850. And then this is it. This is the last clip. This is the attempt at 5,000 damage. You're going to see I go down the tunnel. I grab the speed buff. I'm running through to the berserking buff. And if you look at the top of the screen, you're going to see all my buffs. I've got world buffs. Got some consumes to give me attack power, strength. I got a sharpening stone. So I had even an elixir of mongoose on there. So I had a lot of increases to my attack power. And I was going for the big ambush. Now, unfortunately, as I hearth here, you're going to see the timer says 49 seconds, and the loading screen takes about maybe 7, 8, 9 seconds. But then if you look at the buff, it says 45 seconds. And so you can see right there, the berserking buff just desynced, meaning the timer on berserking is actually different than what shows up on the screen. So I did get battle shouted by a friend there. I'm running out to do the whole combo, but you're going to see that the berserking buff is actually going to fall off 4 seconds before the tooltip shows. So I pressed Jam Gabar here, and unfortunately I pressed it too late, not knowing that the buff desynced. So you're going to see me do the full setup. I'm going to cheap shot to the side. That way I can use kidney shot to increase my damage. If you spec into it, kidney shot can increase the damage the target takes. I did everything, lined it all up, and we did 41.05. And again, if I slow it down for you, you can see the berserking buff just faded at 4 seconds. So 6, 5, 4, gone. So unfortunately, the berserking buff did fade early, but if we take 41.05 and you multiply it by 1.3, it would have been a 5,336 ambush. So unfortunately, wasn't able to get it all to line up because of the desync, but I do have plans to, Darkmoon Fair Week is coming up. I'm going to see if I can hit 6K ambush, and this time no desync, no issues. Try and see if we can actually hit 6K, so look forward to that. But you can see definitely the potential to hit a 5K ambush and even further. And this was a 4,100 ambush with, full buffs and everything, but not counting berserking. And you can see that our damage increased by about like 1,000 with all of these buffs. So just keep that in mind, that if you do get fully buffed and everything, that's just a ballpark of, you can increase your damage by about 1,000. But on to the talents. That's all for the clips. All right, so when it comes to the ambush builds, it just depends how crazy you want to get. So if you really want to do as much ambush damage as possible, you actually cannot spec into improved backstab. So you're going to be useless, but your ambush is going to hit hard. So I actually started doing this towards the end to just get as many points as possible into deadliness while also getting cold blood. And this is basically going to be the build. If you want to do as much damage as humanly possible on like any target you can, you want improved kidney shot. This increases the damage by 9% from all sources. This is going to increase the damage you do by more than increasing your AP by 6%. I think that's obvious. AP by 6% would be less of a damage increase than damage by 9%, but it's obviously hard to kidney shot someone before you ambush them. So this is really not something you can really consistently set up, but it is how you do as much damage as possible. Now, you could just do that similar build and put all 5 points in deadliness. This is what I did most of the video. It's nice going all the way to cold blood, even though you have a high chance to crit with improved ambush. It's kind of awkward when, like 40% or like 35% of your ambushes just happen to not crit. Little awkward. So that's why I was playing cold blood. Now, if you guys want to actually play with this spec and actually not be useless, right? Something like this would probably be best, right? For just everyday use. You don't have to go the full build. You don't lose that much damage. You could try and sneak a couple points in deadliness if you really wanted to stack as much AP as you wanted, but that's not even necessary. But stuff like serrated blades helps cutting through armor on clothies if you want to play a build like this. You could still play something like sprint daggers if you want. If you want the guaranteed cold blood crit, you could just play a cold blood dagger build. You're not going to have any points in deadliness and less points in serrated blades, but you get the guaranteed crit. So these are some of the builds that I would recommend, and I'll have a link to this in the description. If you actually want to just have a useful character. But when I was getting some of the bigger numbers, I was using 5 deadliness, and then at the very end, I was using the kidney shot spec to go for the 5K ambush because of it's so powerful if you can set it up. So that is it for the talent. All right, now for the items to pull this off. So you want to have a trinket that ramps up and increases your damage. So Jam Gabar is the best one because at the end of the duration, you're going to have 650 attack power. And if you time everything right, you're going to hit really, really hard. But if you don't have Jam Gabar, you can still use Earth Strike, or you can use the Hero Medallion, the Zandalarian Hero Medallion. Hero Medallion's actually a tiny bit better than Earth Strike if you had to pick between the two for just the ambush damage. Obviously, after the first ambush, Earth Strike is better overall, but the Hero Medallion will increase your single ambush by more. So any of these 3 trinkets will work. Obviously, Jam Gabar is the best, but it's also the one that takes the most setup. You have to time it right. But even lining up a Jam Gabar at like 6 or 7 is going to be better than either trinket. So keep that in mind. In terms of gear beyond the trinkets, it's pretty much all about AP. So I was just equipping the pieces I had with as much AP as possible. And, you know, especially if you're using Cold Blood for the guaranteed crit, you just want high amounts of AP. Now, depending on like what gear you have, you're going to do more or less damage, obviously, but I will just say that my gear wasn't the greatest specifically for AP. I did not have a good belt for AP. I did not have a good second ring for AP. I think I was using like Don Julio's or something. I did not have decent wrists for AP either. And I did not have every single possible enchant to increase my AP. So there were some enchants that like I still had minor speed on my boots. I didn't have the agility, or I don't know if you can get strength on these, to be honest. But you want AP, you want strength, you want agility, and strength and agility are equal for trying to get a big ambush. So you're just trying to get as much AP as humanly possible. Once I had points in the deadliness talent, I was at about 1,000 AP unbuffed beyond deadliness when I was doing things doing all the ambushes you saw in the video. But yeah, that's basically what you want to go for in terms of gear. There's a lot of items that actually aren't that, you not think of it as being that amazing, but they have high AP. Stuff like Cadaverous Armor from Scholomance, Seal of the Gurubashi Berserker from ZG. So you can actually pretty easily get some items that aren't really that great overall, but just have like pure AP if you are interested in picking those up. But that's pretty much it. Those are the items you can use as a backup. That's how you want to gear up. Now, in terms of weapons, the last thing I do want to mention, obviously, if you have a good weapon, it helps. Weapon damage is the best enchant for doing as much damage as possible. But keep in mind that you do not need a crazy weapon. You can still do this with Gut Gore Ripper. You can still do this with, any weapon, Lobotomizer, even the dagger from ZG, Fang of the Faceless, like anything around there, or even the AQ20 Dagger of Veiled Shadows. The only thing to mention is like you're obviously going to do less damage, but keep in mind most of the squishies I was ambushing were dying in just the ambush. You can backstab right after. You have a 1 second GCD. A lot of people aren't going to be able to react quick enough. You're going to be able to ambush, backstab, and get a couple autos in there. So don't be discouraged if you don't have the same level of gear, if you don't have even like the optimal trinket. Try and get that ZG trinket. It's guaranteed drop every time in ZG. Try and soft reserve it in a pug or something, and just use whatever dagger you've got available to you, and give it a go. And I think you'll be surprised how much damage you can do even without the optimal setup. So thanks for watching, guys. Good luck ambushing.